I think honesty, integrity, and just the willingness and the courage to do the right thing. So when I took this role, we had to make some pretty significant decisions. You got to be willing to make the tough decisions for the benefit of the organization. That has really allowed us to really leverage our renewable platform and portfolio, where 40% of our customers' energy come from renewable resources today. We're looking at 400 to 600 megawatts of solar that we want to put in somewhere in our 5,000 square miles of service territory to continue our high reliability and focus on renewable energy and to reduce our carbon footprint.
Hello, this is Marco LaRock. If you're passionate about diversity, Cheer Africa, we welcome you to the 3rd Annual Leadership Africa Summit on April 25th, 2020. You can learn more by going to www.afsummit.com. Welcome to Marco LaRock TV. My name is Marco LaRock. I'm your host for Inside a Great Mind, where we interview entrepreneurs, leaders, game changers for the purpose to inspire and inform you. Today we're so thrilled for our guest, Mr. Tim Burke, CEO of OPPD. How are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you for having the show. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell us, who's Tim Burke?
Who is Tim Burke?
Yes.
I've lived in this community since really 1989. I did a little stint in Lincoln for a couple of years.
Okay.
I'm married for coming up on 38 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, very much so. 3 boys, all married, 5 grandkids, playing a band with my 2 older boys. So it's an opportunity for me to play music and play with my boys and have fun, and my wife doesn't get upset about that at all.
What type of music do you enjoy?
We do all kinds of cover. We're an Irish pub band called the Shenanigans.
Okay.
So Irish is kind of our base, but we play a variety of different cover and all different kinds of music, which is kind of fun.
Okay. So you're the CEO of OPPD. So I think if people live here in Omaha, they know what OPPD is, correct? So your company mission is to provide affordable, reliable, and environmentally sensitive energy to customers. How do you guys live that mission?
Well, we live it through our core values. Core values are care for each other. So that's from a safety perspective within our organization, within our employees, but it's also care for our customers. And we do that in a number of different ways. Okay. Honor our community. So how do we honor all of our different communities? And it's not necessarily counties and municipalities, but it's our communities of people. It's our communities and organizations within our communities. How do we honor them as part of providing that service? And then just passion to serve. This industry is an incredibly honorable industry. We work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have people that work on Christmas, on New Year's, on birthdays and holidays. We have someone working all the time here at OPPD. Matter of fact, we had a crew that was changing out a pole because somebody ran into it on Christmas Eve. So they left their families on Christmas Eve to restore power and service to a neighborhood. That's the kind of passion to serve. That's how we honor our communities. We do that by our actively involved in work in the chamber, in economic development, in community partnerships, in our diversity and inclusion and equity kind of work we're doing in the community today.
So it seems interesting to me that Nebraska is only one state or few states that get energy from the public power. So why don't like a private company come into place to drive competition and lower rates? Is that fair?
Actually, in the utility industry, there's very little competition across any utilities across the United States, whether they're investor-owned utilities or public utilities. Okay. There may be states that essentially deregulate the energy piece of it, but not the poles and the wires. That's why they're really monopolies in that regard. It's an efficiency of where you have one pole and one wire to serve a customer. What we've lived in Nebraska as the only public power state in the union from an electric side is that we've been able to provide exceptional service at low rates. Our rates are 30% below the national average, 20% below the regional average. Our reliability is some of the highest in the United States, and we provide some great customer service. And what's good about that is that all of the proceeds or the earnings that we receive from our operations goes back into our operations or goes back in the communities in which we live, work, and play.
So what are the innovative things that OPPD is working on right now to better its services?
There's a number of different things. We're doing more automation on our customer service side. We are working on a pretty significant reinvestment in infrastructure to continue our improvement in reliability. So we have probably about $100 million we're investing in improving reliability in 2020. It's in our transmission distribution improvement projects that we're doing to improve reliability, to improve our infrastructure, to communicate across our substations, to improve our cybersecurity, to do a number of different things. We do that each year. We prioritize those kind of capital investments. But then we're actually continually working on ways in which we can help customers reduce their energy use through energy conservation. So a variety of our energy conservation, our demand side management initiatives, our electric vehicle initiative that's going on right now, rebates for electric vehicles charging stations, to working with large customers on our Eco24 data center services, where we can essentially help them reduce about 30% of their demand through energy conservation and energy management kind of products and services that we provide to them. So it's that kind of level of service that we're continually working on to improve that customer relationship and to improve our serviceability with customers.
So when it comes to diversity, what are the efforts that your company is making to be part of that conversation?
You know, OPPD has been involved in diversity and inclusion certainly for a long time. We've done it in a number of different ways. I would say we significantly stepped that up, and I'll talk about some of the ways we've stepped that up. We've been involved in inroads where we take college kids that are primarily minority kids and start them early in the internship and co-op programs in OPPD. We're doing other kinds of things. We've done some gatherings where we've brought professionals of color and women professionals together in gatherings just to talk about how they can kind of improve their skill sets and capabilities and really engage in the organization. And we just completed, in which I participated in, our first White Men as Full Diversity Partners. It's really to explore the white man's culture and to understand the impacts that I was born into. As a white male, certainly has benefits that others in this company may not have. If you're a black male or a black female, or you're a female, or you're any ethnicity, I have some advantages. And so it's really to understand that as a leader. And so 17 other leaders participated in that first White Men as Full Diversity Partners training with us to really look at us and that even though, you know, as it says in the training, we may be at fault, we have an accountability to this organization, begin to think about diversity, inclusion, and equity differently. And I will tell you that's been pretty impactful to this organization on the gathering work that we're doing and the White Men as Full Diversity Partners. And so we are truly making, I think, headway in becoming a better company in that regard.
So you're the CEO of this great company. What does it take to be a CEO? What does your day-to-day activity looks like?
Well, you know, my day-to-day activity really varies. I'm out in our organization a lot of the time. So 4 times during the year, I'll be out at 16 different locations throughout our 5,000 square miles that we serve here in eastern Nebraska. You know, I do have 8 board members, so I have 8 bosses that I get to work with, and they're amazing people that are dedicated to our mission, dedicated to our vision, dedicated to our core values, and they do some great work. And I have 10 direct reports that have a variety of different functional accountabilities here. But I also get the opportunity to be in the community too. So part of my role is to really be the liaison of OPPD in the community and how we can be better community stewards. And so that could be on involving ourselves in mentoring Nebraska, or could be involved in the work we do with Habitat for Humanity. So our organization is just actively involved in what's going on in the community, and that's just part of who we are as a public power entity.
What do you call value as a leader?
You know, I think honesty, integrity, and just the willingness and the courage to do the right thing. So when I took this role, we had to make some pretty significant decisions. You know, you got to be willing to make the tough decisions for the benefit of the organization. That has really allowed us to really leverage our renewable platform and portfolio, where 40% of our customers' energy come from renewable resources today. We're looking at 400 to 600 megawatts of solar that we want to put in somewhere in our 5,000 square miles of service territory to continue our high reliability and focus on renewable energy and to reduce our carbon footprint.
How do you motivate your team to keep going despite the challenges they guys face?
Part of it is to align around a strategy, align around our mission, align around our vision, align around our core values. And so we have 15 strategic directives that really drive us as the organization, from vision and mission all the way down to environmental sensitivity. Our board essentially votes on those strategic directives. And so it's a commitment between our board and our senior management team and our organization about the direction that this company is going and moving.
So if a young professional comes to you today and is eyeing to be a leader, a CEO in the future, what would you tell that person? What are the skills that person needs to advance?
I think one of the skills that I would recommend to a young professional, and I do in this organization too, is take on challenges you're uncomfortable with. Try new things, test your skill sets, take on a new initiative that you know nothing about, that you have to kind of immerse yourself in and understand and begin to build that knowledge, build that base, try different leadership things, try different, look at other leaders and see what they do, but how do you then model it to you as a potential leader? And there's really 3 C's that we talk about. You know, be incredibly clear, right? Clarity is incredibly important. Connect yourself to the organization in a very positive way. Collaboration through communication, connect to the strategic direction of the organization, but do it with care, right? So clarity, connection, and this care piece shows up in a number of our kind of elements. If you begin to alienate yourself as a young professional because doing what you think you need to do, or doing it and hurting other people in the organization or other parts of the organization, no organization needs that. Those are short-lived strategies. Do it with care. So understand what you're doing and how you're doing it, how it impacts people, and get to know the people.
So you're the chairman for the Great Omaha Chamber of Commerce, a new one. So what are you looking for into that role and your vision for that?
Well, I've had the opportunity to work on the visioning strategy for Omaha 2040 with Rebecca Ryan and David Brown, Tom Warren from the Urban League and the United Way, all partnered together to kind of lay out through a variety of public and stakeholder charrettes around what the vision of 2040 looks like for Omaha. So that vision has kind of been painted on what 2040 will look like. The Chamber is really looking at kind of a 5-year strategy about how do we get there. And our focus is really around several things. One is in 2020, we need to get LB 720 passed. This is the Economic Development Incentive Bill. Until the state begins to kind of correct the whole tax policy, we really need to have those incentives in place. And those expire at the end of 2020. So we need to have that bill approved this year and to begin to move that forward. What we heard very clearly from the Urban League survey of young professionals was a pretty significant number of those professionals said they would probably have to leave Omaha in order to find people of color in leadership roles. That speaks to Omaha's diversity and inclusion. We have to get better at that. So the Chamber has taken that on as an initiative. We have a Diversity Inclusion Council chaired by Carmen Tapia, who is now part of the executive committee that I will be on. We've aligned an organization around that. We've aligned HR, senior HR folks around this diversity inclusion initiative. And we'll be having our first CEO roundtable around diversity inclusion beginning in the first quarter of 2020.
Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? Yeah. You know, I get the ability to be inspired by a lot of different people. There are folks like, a Michael Yanni in town that just has a great vision of what this city could be and what the city could look like. And I get inspired by our employees that are dealing with customers every single day. And they do it what seems to me to be effortlessly, but it's a lot of work and a lot of commitment on what they do. Those are the people that really give me the courage to do what I do in this company and then in this community as well.
If you had the power to make one positive change in the world, what would that be?
Peace throughout the world would be really good at this point in time with all the conversation that's going on. But what I would say is that we as a community bind together on priorities and strategies that benefit everybody in this community.
What would be your last advice, tip to my audience?
I would just say get involved in the community. Find ways to take your resources and your skill sets to be engaged and to look for ways in which you can be in leadership roles to make a difference. Take that first step. Call the chamber and see how you can be involved. Look at the young professionals organizations. There's a variety of organizations in this community that you can be part of. Become a mentor for someone in this community. Mentoring can be one of the greatest successes of anybody, especially young kids in this community. So there are ways for people to be involved, just a couple ways, but get involved.
Thank you, Tim.
Very good. Thank you, Marco.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.